In my career, I've done this since 1991. I've probably had 100 death claims over there. So I've been around thousands and thousands and thousands of policies only to have paid 100 death claims. But I have 3,000 investment clients, and nearly all of them are going to retire someday. As a matter of fact, I have hundreds of them retire, and they need more money than they think they do to retire. So that to me is the bigger issue of getting people ready for retirement is a bigger issue than making sure they don't die too soon. And so, and then even if they did die too soon, here's the other part, is because I focus on investments, I would sit down with the survivors and show them how to take the life insurance proceeds and invest money correctly to make sure it lasted them. If all you do is sell a life insurance policy and you don't do the investment side, when you hand them a check for $250,000 or $500,000, but they don't have any advice for that, within a couple of years, most widows are broke in 4 to 8 years. So if you don't do the investment side of the business, you can't help it. I didn't think it was responsible, and I didn't want to go about it that way. I thought the right thing to do is do the whole business for it. As a matter of fact, our founder, Art Williams, he preached that if you're going to do this business, you're going to teach them how to buy, term, and invest the difference. The problem is most of the people in this industry sell the term, don't invest the difference. Or they'll get a client, they'll sit down with somebody, run them a policy with a $100 a month life out policy, and then get them to invest $100 a month in a mutual fund. Well, $100 in a mutual fund is not even going to get them close to retirement.
Eric, you've been in Primerica since 94, is that right? What would you say is the thing that you like the best about Primerica?
For me, being a stockbroker, the issue I had is I went to work for a number of different firms in Atlanta, and every firm I went to would pressure me to push certain investments. And I would read the prospectuses and stuff and say, I don't want to put my clients in this. And they still put pressure on me. And if I didn't do it, I wasn't a team player. So I was not very popular anywhere I went. The brokerage industry is all about that. Pink sheet investments or stocks that go public that do not trade on an open exchange. They don't meet the minimum share price or volume to be on an exchange. So they trade instead on pink sheets. Could have a bid of 25 cents and an ask of 50 cents. Okay. So what does that mean? Is you get the client to buy the stock at 50 cents. It only costs the firm 25 cents. So the firm and the brokers get paid nearly 100%. I work hard. I work 12 to 18 hour days for 8 to 10 years in Primerica. I was going on 2 appointments a day. I'd go 2 appointments on Monday, 2 appointments on Tuesday, 2 appointments on Wednesday, 2 appointments Thursday, 1 on Friday, 1 on Saturday. I'd do 8 of them this week, and I wouldn't work on Sunday. I wanted to know my craft better than anybody else. And so I worked hard to learn the industry, learn investments, learn anything else, so that when I sat down with somebody, I knew more than anyone else they had come across. And there was no reason why they would not do business with me.
Make sure you do the product.
I knew investments better than anybody else. But here's the positive out of it. Because you did sit and take an exam and get a life and health license. Because you did sit and take an exam and get a securities license. And because you did come to classes and learn how to apply all this stuff. Even if you don't make a cent in this industry, and you will have changed the way you understand money, that you'll make better financial decisions for the rest of your life.
That's true.
Most Americans aren't taught anything about money.
No.
We're taught, we learn algebra and geometry, right? When we go to school,
Right.
we never use algebra or geometry,
No.
but we use money every day, and no one teaches us about money. And so this gives you knowledge that you can use for the rest of your life. Why have I been successful and others not? And there's 2 reasons why he is successful but others are not. Number one, He comes to every single class. Number two, and this is the big one. He's a self-starter. I didn't have to talk him into setting appointments. He knew that was the key to this business, was setting appointments. I used to think that you could change people, but you cannot. You cannot. All you can do is put them in an environment that gives them the best chance of. It's like growing plants. If you give them enough water and sunlight, not all of them will germinate. Not all the seeds will germinate. Some
will, yeah.
Okay. If I had 40 million in managed accounts and 160 million in mutual fund or annuities, I would make $600,000 a year, $500 to $600,000 a year.
The client thing.
Yeah. The key to success, in my opinion, is you have to decide what you want out of this life, what you think God is calling you to do, and then you go do it. No matter how long or how hard it is to do, you do it. You put your head down. You feel like I felt like those were my marching orders. That was what I was supposed to do. That's military thing, right? You have an objective. You're told you have to do some. It doesn't matter how many people you lose in the process. You're gonna do it. Okay.
It's a mindset.
It's a mindset. You make a decide. You call to do something. You go do it. Yeah. And that's what I did. And I put my head down. I went to work. I didn't care what anybody said, what anybody did. I didn't care what I did it anyway. Way less talent than most people. Okay. The only thing I can beat people at is work ethic. I can outwork you. And I won't stop. I will not stop. And so that's the key to success in anything. You got to decide who you're going to listen to. Everybody's got to listen to somebody. And I didn't even listen. I didn't even listen to my wife for 8 years. She was saying,
I bet she'd say longer than that.
for 8 years, she was saying, she was giving me a hard time about being a Primerica. Mm-hmm. You know why she changed her mind? Me and her were standing in a pool in Boca Raton, Florida, in a resort, and I was making $150,000 a year. Then she said, "How can I help? If you put 30 live crabs in a cooler, and one of those crabs starts trying to crawl out of the cooler, another crab will grab it and pull that other crab back in. You have to decide the course you're going to take. You have to figure out where you want to be, and then you got to figure out the course you're going to take to get that there. Okay, now, does that mean that once you start down the path, you don't make adjustments here and there? Yeah, you still make adjustments here and there, but you still know exactly where you're going to end up. The process to go from a rep to success means you are continually learning and getting better at your craft. You have to continually get better every day at what you're doing. My 5th grade teacher said something to me that has gone with me my whole life. She said, "Eric, if you have the opportunity to learn something, learn it, because you never know when you might need it." Well, I didn't need to make another $500,000 a year or $600,000 a year if I'm happy where I am. Mm-hmm. And Morningstar Hypothetical Illustrator. Okay, so the Vanguard S&P 500 fund, because they're sold on the idea that the Vanguard funds are no-load funds, no cost, and they think that if you get it for free, it's better. Okay, so we can use a fund that has a load, has a 5.5% load. This has 0 load. Okay, so your clients think
that's a sales charge. That's an upfront sales charge.
So let's say you have a client that has $100,000 in the Vanguard fund, and you want to put that $100,000 you prop in this fund. Okay, and they think that because they have this fund, it's free. It's a better fund than this fund that is not free.
Okay.
So let's go to inception. So let me go. One started in 2000, one started in 97. So I'm going to go to earliest common. So now I put them made in both and start at the same time, right? So you go
your fairest analysis.
Yeah, so side by side running it. Okay.
Yep. Apples to apple.
Yeah, and then you're going to do right here holdings comparison. So you either just do that holdings comparison right here, and then I want to do investment detail. This would show me an independent or Morningstar report on it. Generate report. So let's do a comparison. You can see that many times the VADAX is exactly the same or ahead of
The Vanguard.
the Vanguard fund that costs nothing. That VADAX is actually a better fund for your clients over the S&P 500 index with Vanguard. Because the one with Invesco is equally weighted.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Is the S&P 500 has all the top 500 stocks in the United States, right? So the Vanguard fund and any other S&P 500 fund that's not equally weighted means the larger the company, the more shares they own of that particular company.
The larger the company,
The more capital, yeah. So they're forced to buy more shares of the biggest companies and a small amount of the smaller companies in the S&P 500. Well, but does that mean that the largest companies are always going to make the most money? No. So you actually expose your client to more risk being in a standard S&P 500 fund than you would an equally weighted S&P 500. You're more diversified, purely diversified, and you're going to protect your clients with that.
With the VDX.
VADX is actually safer for the client than a standard S&P 500 fund, called the ICA guide. Now, we use this vehicle to teach our clients about how mutual funds work. What's the biggest risk in the stock market? What's a risk that most people run into by buying stocks in the stock market? How do you know which stock to buy? How do you know at what price? How do you know when to sell it? How do you know what's going on with that company? How do you know all that stuff? If you turn in this book to page 9, these are portfolio managers. They all have what's called a CFA license, which I really wanted to get.
Was that certified financial advisor?
Yeah, I would still like to get it. Yeah, there's 3 parts to it. But anyway, they are financial analysts. And so their job, they work for a mutual fund company, and their job is to research and find the best stock find 100 different stocks to buy all these 100 stocks and put them in one fund. So that when you invest, put your $50 in here or $100 in here, you own a small piece of the 100 stocks that's in this fund. The benefit, so if you're going to buy individual stock, right, and you'd have to have enough money to buy like 100 shares or something, right? 100 shares of Home Depot, for example, right? So Home Depot was traded $250 a share. So you'd have to have $25,000 minimum probably to get started buying 100 shares of Home Depot stock, right? And then you only got one stock, right? If all of a sudden Home Depot does terrible, you do terrible, right? Okay, well, this way with mutual funds, you don't have to be that smart. These CFAs analyze these large companies in the United States, and they pick out the best ones. These CFAs get paid based on how these stocks they pick perform. So they have a vested interest that the investments they picked out are good. Okay, go to page 6. You show just the page you're showing. You don't have it folded out like this.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
I have you constantly read the page that you're not talking about while you're talking about the page.
Okay, makes sense.
So you got to keep their attention on the stuff you want to keep their attention on. Otherwise, they'll read something else. But how you know you got an analyzer? They're reading the small print down here. They're not even reading image over here.
Wow.
Reading this down here.
Small print.
Okay, but anyway, this sheet here shows you the top 75 holdings in this one fund. Okay, so if you put $100 in this fund, or whatever amount of money you put in this fund, you own a small piece of every one of these companies on this list. Okay, so go through this list and see if there's any companies on this list that you recognize.
Microsoft.
Here, everybody recognize that one. What else?
Home Depot, General Motors,
Broadcom.
Netflix.
Berkshire Hathaway,
Yeah.
Starbucks.
What about Alphabet? Do you know who Alphabet is?
Google.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Google.
that's Google.
Mhm.
Dr. Pepper.
Hey.
Yeah.
Where's Dr. Pepper from? Texas. Waco, Texas.
I said, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
That's right.
Wow.
There's three things that come from Waco, Texas.
Dr.
Dr. Pepper, Steve Martin, Carol Burnett.
Royal Caribbean Cruises.
Striker they own a number of different restaurant companies like Arby's, companies like that.
Raytheon Technology,
Let's say that you put $10,000 in this fund. And tomorrow we wake up and Chevron is completely out of business.
Oh, that's a top center,
How much money did you lose?
$81.
$81.
If
Was
they
that
were
big?
completely out of business.
Overnight. So that's a big loss or little loss?
Little.
That's pretty small. Out of 10,000, right? Okay, so that's what's great about these funds is your money's diversified enough that even if one of them completely goes away, it has very little effect on your rest of your money. That's the great thing. Okay, so let's see how this fund is done. So we're mutually investing together. Okay, now this shows you the history of this particular fund. And so you can see this fund on the left side started in 1934. Y'all see that?
Yes.
So what was happening in 1934? Is that good news or bad news? Really bad news, right? Okay, so the biggest reason why most people don't want to invest is they think that it's the wrong time to invest, and they think that the market's going to go down, right? Recently, 4 years ago, all our Republican clients wanted to take the money to the stock market because Biden won. This year, all my the Democratic clients want to take their money out because Trump won. Okay, so it doesn't matter who wins, someone's upset, right? And guess what? I always tell them, CEOs of companies are way smarter than politicians. Okay, they always. But anyway, so the depression was happening in 1934. That was bad news, right?
Right.
Okay, then what happened in 1941?
Pearl Harbor.
Was that bad news or good news? Bad news. Okay, what happened in 1950? Korean War. Okay. Okay, what happened in 1999?
Y2K, I remember that.
Remember at midnight, all the planes were going to fall out of the sky?
Yep. World's country.
Yeah. I actually knew somebody that bought a little cabin in Nebraska and put generators and food and stuff in that little cabin in Nebraska because that's where he was going to survive out. Every one of these things above this is bad news, right? But if you would have put $10,000 in this fund in 1934, what was it worth in 2022? $208,090,829.
You put $10,000.
One time.
One time.
And what was the average return in this fund from 1934 to now?
Average return.
11.8%, nearly 12%.
Over 80 years.
Right. So did you have to outsmart the market?
No.
No, you
It's a
just
starting market.
Okay. So now put your left index finger on the year you were born. Put your right index finger on 10 years later. Just saying. Sam was born in 1958. So if we look at 1958, you can see if you had $281.50 in 1958. You see that on the bottom of the column, 58.15? By 1968, what was it worth?
99060.
So you had nearly 4 times more money,
Yeah.
right?
What a red thing was the first
Red thing, you can see in 1962, for example, it was this, out of the 10 years, that year is down 13.2%. And you still triple your money,
Wow.
right? The point is, you cannot find a 10-year period on here where you did not make money.
Yeah.
Not there.
And the rule is, so if you put your money in a good fund and just leave it alone, you'll make it.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're doing for your clients. You're putting your clients in stuff like this, and you teach them this stuff, and they'll put money in.
And
Yeah. So there's way more blues than red squares, right? So the market's going to go up way more than it goes down. So moral of the story is put your money in a good fund, leave it alone, you'll make money. Yep. And here's the other thing: here's the other thing to get your clients to invest. You have to understand that if they do not invest, they cannot make it. Okay, so because
Between 78 and 2000, there was not a loss.
I know,
Where is the 78?
22.
I know.
Yeah, the long run.
24 years, no down years.
Yeah.
And some of them up 20%, 14, 19, 21, 33, 20. Good Lord.
I'll hit you with a stat that, on that chart too.
Uh,
1962 was the first year the Dow went over 1,000, but did not close over 1,000. It did not close over 1,000 until 1982.
Wow.
20 years of it not closing
So
over,
during the day's trading, it bounced over 1,000, but didn't close over 1,000.
and then it didn't actually ever close over it until 1982.
20 more
Wow,
years.
20 more years. So,
Wow.
so that says the market was sideways for 20 years, but you still made money.
Here, what caused in that era, when all the bad thing was happening, but still, why that long years of just being positive? What's going on in the world because, I mean, why you got 20
We were in the decade, we had, okay, sorry about that. We had gotten through the 70s, which were murderous. Okay, so remember 73 and 74, we just got through Nixon resigning.
Okay.
Nixon was the one that got us off the last stages of the gold standard in 1972, I think it was.
Okay.
So we then had huge disparities in monetary policy in 73 and 74. That's about the market got killed in 73 and 74. Then we ended up with like Jimmy Carter. He made some bad decisions there. Okay, so if you notice, we were coming out of the recession when Jimmy Carter was getting close to leaving office. Then Reagan gets elected. And the optimism of the United States went, you know, history continues to repeat itself. The exact same stuff that was going on when Reagan got issued is exactly what's going on today that Trump got. A mutual fund is an investment vehicle, right? It's also in your book, when you start studying, they're known as investment companies.
Yes.
Okay? In a mutual fund like this is known as an open-ended investment company.
Series 6.
That's open-ended means there's no limit to the number of shares you can buy, right? So it's open-ended. Now they also do make closed-ended mutual funds, which are also known as UITs, Unit Investment Trusts. They trade in series, and so we've actually sold those here as well.
We're going to hold your hand and teach you step by step how this works, what to do, what not to do. And our founder, still is, angry guy, because his family got screwed by life insurance agent. They sold his daddy a $15,000 whole life policy. Daddy died at about 48, something like that. He could have had $150,000 for the same premium. But they sold him the product that pays the agent best and the company best and treats the client worse.
Right.
And Art decided he was going to found his own company where the salesperson is king and where we do the right thing for every client every time. And that's us. This is before 2008. And they had all the subprime mortgages. They tried to get us to do subprime mortgages because we can make so much money doing it. But our company looked over and said, this is not good for our clients.
Wow.
You keep your money. We are not going to hurt our clients by offering them this crap.
Right. Yeah, we're not going to go down that road. But what opened the door for us, because we worked for our Citigroup at the time, Citigroup got slammed in 2008. They were on a brink of disaster.
Oh, I'm sure they were.
So that was at the time that it opened. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be where we are.
That's true.
Because Primerica then had the opportunity to separate and go public.
Okay.
So on April the 1st, 2010, we got our independence. Primerica went public.
We were part of Citigroup?
Yes, we were.
I don't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? For a long time. We were part of Travelers. And Travelers merged with Citibank, became Citigroup. It was the largest, at the time, the largest merger in the world. So it became Citigroup. And that's why my ring has an umbrella
Yep.
on it.
Somewhere I had travelers.
It's got the traveler's umbrella on
But that's what our
Yeah.
insurance was.
I love that. Yeah. That's the
I
most
know.
universally
it. Yeah,
recognized.
so that's why when I heard $1,000 ring has that on it. So we then went public on April the 1st, 2010, at $15 a share. Today we're right at $300 a share. And Primerica gives us some stock there, so.
Williams were the CEOs. And John, I love John. John was always going on and on and on about how we are going to pay our field force $1 billion in a 12-month period. You know, kept saying it and saying it and saying it. Well, in April of 2023, isn't that when we made it? We have been paying our sales force $1 billion a year.
Yeah,